Hi there. In this short clip, I hope to give you some insight in why choosing organizational change as your bachelor thesis topic could in fact be interesting and fun. Organizational change is also known as change management. However, the word management to me suggests that change always can be managed, can be controlled if you like. Whereas I think organizational change is about much more than that. Ancient Greek philosophers already said that the only constant in life is change. Yes, that is the paradox, but if you really think about it, it is true. So you would think that we as human beings know how to deal with it, right? Well, not so much. If you take a closer look, for example, at how most organizations or many organizations deal with change, then there is much room for improvement. Just let this sink in. 70% of all organizational changes fail. And these are only the ones that have been evaluated properly. Do take in mind that a vast number of changes are not really being evaluated. Furthermore, change takes more time than planned, more money, more energy, you name it. And last but not least, you will find that often success is being rationalized afterwards. But if you'd really compare the outcome with the initial plans, well, you'd be surprised. Interesting, right? Also, often you see that organizations have adopted and internalized certain patterns, so ways of doing things, meaning that they, often unconsciously, go through a change process in the usual way. And in fact, that is a paradox too, and dysfunctional, because ideally the change process itself should provoke the intended outcome. I'll give an example. Imagine your organization is a rather bureaucratic one. Lots of paperwork flowing around, and you've got formal structures and traditional hierarchy. And you, being the CEO, you want to shake up things. You want to, become more innovative. Then it makes no sense to follow the usual bureaucratic process by writing proposals, setting up meetings, using the traditional hierarchy to communicate the plan in order to become more innovative. Sounds like an open door? Well, in practice, it is not. So, organizational change is about sensing what happens in the world and, in combination, becoming aware of functional and dysfunctional patterns that can either make or break successful change. And these patterns, they exist on several levels. Think of the systemic level, so what happens in the world, what happens in the industry. Think of the organization wide level, what should be addressed within a company. And well, you could go on the departmental level, the team level, individual level, and of course, the likely interrelations between some of those levels. And then it's about acting, of course, doing things, breaking out of dysfunctional patterns, and learning along the way. Well, sounds beautiful, Hugo. Let's go. Well, not so fast because it's easier said than done. It is complex. Furthermore, you will find that there are lots of dilemmas in organizations one has to deal with when wanting to change an organization or a situation. And I'll name three dilemmas. The first one goes by the name separation and integration. So you have grasped the context, you've looked around at the world, and then you have to zoom in to grasp a specific situation and its underlying dynamics and to change things. But at the same time, being that change agent, you have to keep an overview, like a helicopter, on the whole context to see what your interventions evoke, considering, of course, the systemic nature of organizations. On the one hand, you could increase the scope of your change context, but then your interventions might lose impact. At the other end, you could narrow down the scope of your change context, but then the impact of your interventions might be too local. You see the difficulty? The second dilemma goes by the name content and meaning. Many managers implicitly still think that a proper plan in terms of content will ultimately translate itself into new desired behavior among the individuals of an organization. Think of the metaphor of a champagne tower. So the top thinks of an idea, comes up with a plan, and the top pours that plan out over the organization from top to bottom. and it expects every right piece of information to land exactly at the right spot and is being executed exactly in the way it should have been done. Um, well, we all know that people are not empty glasses waiting to be filled. No, they have experience, they have opinions, ideas, and human beings give meaning to content and to ideas. And that meaning adds to or changes the content of the plan. And also, the difficult stuff is one cannot force another person to derive a certain meaning. That is just strictly personal. But that shared meaning in an organization and adding sense to a change is crucial to make it stick. A plan without a shared meaning is just words and numbers. So, to summarize, often in organizations there is too much focus on the contents of the change ID, the plan, the time path, you know, Prince 2, all those things, and too little focus on the so called sense making process. And the last dilemma I would like to talk about is called mind and emotion. And this one actually is closely related to the previous dilemma, content and meaning. Organizations traditionally are rational and efficiency driven, but more and more we come to understand that emotions are, in fact, more decisive than the actual correctness of a plan. For example, Kotter found in his research that the traditional analyze, think, and change is less powerful than see, feel, and change. We should feel and think at the same time in change processes. And that makes organizational change so difficult but oh so interesting. Let me be clear. I'm not arguing that the traditional way of changing has become obsolete. I'm just saying that organizations, so groups of individuals, because that's what organizations are, often are unconscious about how they deal with change, meaning that their approach to change often does not fit the matter at hand. You could say organizational change is about connecting head, heart, and hands, and that is difficult, but again, oh so interesting. Change is here to stay. Yes, again, a paradox, Hugo. And in fact, the world changes faster and becomes more unpredictable every day. So we better buckle up and learn how to deal with organizational change on various levels more effectively. Because many organizations are in desperate need of people that understand how to deal with change in complex environments. Would you like to do your bachelor thesis in this field of interest? Then please contact me. Goodbye.